Hello, everyone. In this video, I'm going to read Chapter 8 of our novel Just Dance by Patricia McLaughlin, A Sweet Thane. Bud picked me up in the sheriff's car with Pal sitting proudly in the back seat. I saw that the last F had been stuck back onto the door and now read Sheriff, Sheriff. I pointed to it as I walked to the car. Pal dug it out from under my driver's seat, Bud said. He also found my favorite slippers under the bed and chewed on them. I laughed. So did Bud. Pal loves you and your smell. You rescued him, Bud said. I reached in the back window and gave Pal a hug. Maybe I'll grow up to be a sheriff, I said. Bud smiled at me. You will grow up to be an observer of life and a great writer, he said. In the back seat, there were 2 large bottles of water, a bowl, a bag of dog snacks, and a paper bag that I knew had donuts in it. Pal looks happy. How did Mrs. Ludoff like him as her birthday present? Well, it was smart of me to buy her flowers and a bracelet as well, he said. Except that I caught her slipping Pal food underneath the table as we ate. Remind her that whenever she lectures your class about sneaky behavior. She has a soft heart, I said. Bud started the car. All righty then, he said briskly. Pal made a noise and stuck his head between the 2 of us. When I turned my head, we were looking into each other's eyes. Eyes again. Pal's eyes are different. One is dark, one blue, I told Bud. I saw that. Bud? Yes. There's something you should know. What is that? I took a deep breath. The other day, before I found Pal in the car, I visited Tinker. And his coyote Bernie is his family. He lives with him. And I sat very close to him and I looked into his eyes. I figured all that, said Bud. Yellow eyes, right? Yes. After your log, I had 3 calls from teenagers asking where they could find yellow-eyed girls. I laughed. I'm trying to protect Tinker's privacy, said Bud. I figured townspeople would be curious, and Tinker's a private person. Yellow eyes with a marble in the center, I said. I know. Do you know everything about everyone in town? I asked. Yes. Do you know I want a donut now? Yes, said Bud. I know that. We drove down the dirt road between the meadows. Bud looked out the window, and I knew he was looking for my mother. She's singing to the chickens. The magic flute? Of course, they are addicted to the magic flute. Addicted chickens, really? Bud said, pretending to be alarmed. He stopped the car to listen to her voice coming across the meadow. Pal went over to the open window and heard too. Pal sniffed, then he lifted his head and began to howl. I burst out laughing. Way off, I saw my mother straighten up and stop singing. She looked around. Bud drove off quickly. He had a shocked look on his face. We slowed down at the Beans cornfield. There was a small chorus of singers today. The crows were still there. Bud began to roll up Pal's window with a button on his door in case Pal howled again. It was too late. Pal howled and a dark cloud of crows flew up and away. Could Pal be the solution, do you think? Bud asked. Not according to my father. And you'd have to leave Pal with Elmer. Bud shook his head. He's my dog. I knew he'd say that. Maybe you could leave Pal during the day and take him home at night, I suggested. Nope. Paul likes riding in the sheriff's car. I knew he'd say that too. We drove past the river and past sheep and cow meadows, all peaceful. Not any excitement today, I yawned. Wrong, said Bud, speeding up the car. Up the road, Mabe Tilly was frantically waving her arms at Bud. Near the fence where she stood were a donkey and a goat. Bud stopped the car and got out. Mab, what's wrong here? Mab burst into tears. I fed the donkey a large carrot, and he's choking. The donkey was having trouble breathing, and his goat friend leaned against him. Mabe fell into Bud's arms and nearly knocked him over. Mabe was very large. Let's call your vet, said Bud. No, I called from the car, sliding over and getting out Bud's side. This happened once to me when I fed Molly a carrot. The donkey was wheezing now. I reached over and stroked his long neck down firmly with one hand over and over, holding up his head with the other hand. I did it again and again, and finally there was a sudden breath from the donkey. Oh, dear Sylvie, cried Mab, moving toward me. I stayed with the donkey to keep Mab away. I worried that she would knock me over. And then the donkey put his head down next to my cheek and stayed there, breathing again. I reached out and patted him. It was a strange feeling, this warm donkey head so close. Mab burst into tears again, but I kept hugging the donkey. I prefer the donkey to Mab, I admitted to Bud in the car. Bud grinned. I was nearly overcome by Mab myself. Nice work, Sylvie. I keep saying that to you, said Bud. My mother says we learn from our mistakes, I said, like the too large carrot I fed to Molly once. Sylvie the philosopher, said Bud. Then we don't have to make the same mistakes again, right? Bud the philosopher, I said. Pal barked from the back seat and put his face between us. Pal the philosopher, Bud and I said at the same time, laughing our way home. Will a barking dog scare the crows away? Only for a moment's time, and the crow cloud is back. A dog cannot bark forever, though he may try. Sylvie Bloom. A sweet thing, saving Mabe's donkey's life. A sweet thing, a donkey's head against your cheek, saying thank you. Sylvie Bloom.